Good evening. I'm Matthew Oliver Kondwal.
And I'm Geraldine Sen.
Tonight on For the Record, throughout the country, major upgrades are taking place with our infrastructure, from our buildings to roads and now our water supply. With major cities and towns that will be affected, citizens are asked to be patient during this upgrading process. And with us in studio tonight to discuss more on this is Water Authority of Fiji's Board of Director, Kamal Ganda, and Saman Ikanayake, Water Authority of Fiji's Chief Operating Officer. Thank you for coming on the show tonight. And obviously, something that's been in our media this entire week and something we definitely want to talk about is the upgrade that's happening in Nandila Toka. Could you discuss or tell us more about that and the plans?
Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Geraldine, for inviting us this evening for the record program. The major upgrading that is going to happen at the Nangando treatment plant is a result of a major leakage that is going on to the one of the valves called Vanessa valve, and it has got really serious. So that is the reason for this major upgrade going to happen. And our Chief Operating Officer will later detail out what, in terms of the technical details of this leakage that is going to happen.
So when you say leakage, how much water is being poured out in a day?
Because of this leakage, close to about 1.5 megaliters a day is lost through this leakage.
And how many days has this problem been going on before it was identified?
It's a couple of months.
Couple of months?
Yes, but we can't shut down the system immediately because it's affecting Nandila Toka, but we know it's safe. So we have that experience. So we were planning when is the best time to do this one. So that's how we planned it in February.
Okay.
Because we avoided the New Year time, we avoided the Christmas time. So it's still safe. We have that assurance. Yeah.
So this problem that's going on with the Vanessa valve.
Yes.
Could you explain why this has happened? Is it because of the pipes being very old, no upgrades being done in the past?
Yeah, this is the system has been commissioned in year 2003, so it's fairly old. So there can be leaks sometimes, but it's very rare. So this is one kind of one incident actually.
And are there regular maintenance checks on the different sites?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. The Nangando water treatment plant has a capacity of around 110 megaliters per day. Because of over the years, in terms of the infrastructure is getting old and the demand is growing up in the Nandila Toka, and also because of the new developments, new hotels coming up, the supply is becoming now the capacity constrained. So at the moment we are only able to supply around 90 megaliters per day. So in terms of what needs to be done, we also need to repair the entire infrastructure. At the moment, the Nandila Toka entire area is only supplied through this Nagando, which the water comes from the Vaturu Dam. Yeah.
So how will the process be like? Like what's going to be done first?
Firstly, we will be closing the system, and Friday night around 12 o'clock we we start to close. So we empty the system so that they can start the repair. So at the same time we will be closing some reservoirs. So by 7 a.m. on Saturday we will be starting the repair. So repair will take roughly about 24 hours. So within 24, that means on Sunday, by Sunday morning, repair will be completed.
Okay.
So that is our estimate.
When you say Friday, that is of course on the 3rd of February, right?
Sorry. It's Friday is 2nd.
Okay.
3rd of February is Saturday. Just to correct what someone has said, the closure will happen on Saturday morning, which is 1 a.m. Around 1 a.m. And the repair to take out all the water from the system, it will take about 5 to 6 hours. And then repair work will be happening from the morning of Saturday, which is 3rd of February, around 7 a.m., which our contractor will be on the site for the next 24 hours. And then the system will be fully back on 6th of February, which is a Tuesday at 5 p.m. So all the customers in the Nandila Toka region should be getting water from 5 p.m. February, Tuesday, 6th February.
So obviously, residents living in Nandi Lotoka would need to store water for at least 3 to 5 days.
4 days.
4 days. And you will be cutting water, of course.
Yes, what is going to happen, because of the shutdown, we have other 2 treatment plants. One is in Buambua, which is about 5 megaliters, and the other one is in Saru, which is 10 megaliter. So the CBD of Lotoka won't be affected because of this closure, and the Lotoka hospital and areas, surrounding areas in Lotoka, for example, Tomuka, Wayavi stage 5, Saru Beck Road, Vunato to Taindamu won't be affected because all these areas, including the Lotoka CBD and the hotels within the Lotoka CBD, including Tanwa, and also the Lotoka hospital will be supplied through these areas, excluding these areas in outside areas of Lotoka. Entire of Nandi, including Denarau, will be affected because of this closure. For hotels, we have now arranged around 100 water cutting trucks that will be supplying water on a daily basis to these hotels, including hospitals and airport and other public places like council, Nandi Town Council, because Saturday will be a busy day and people will be requiring water in the market. So we are discussing with the Nandi Town Council in terms of for them to restore water, and cutting trucks will be going in to fill once it gets empty. For the domestic customers, we have already started the awareness on these closure. So what we are requesting from our domestic customers is start storing water now. For our domestic family, we are asking if they could store 200 liters of water for the main purpose, which is cooking and drinking. And apart from this, if they want to bathing and washing purpose, they need to store additional water. So for drinking and cooking purpose, they need to store 200 liters in gallons or water tank, whichever they have at home, or they need to buy extra 20 liter or 10 liter gallons to store water. Plus, people these days just store water in bottles at home. So whatever is the way. So these are some of the awareness program that we are doing.
Okay. And water trucks, of course, will be deployed with a capacity of 5,000 and 10,000 liters. You've mentioned that they will be placed in strategic locations. Would that be around the clock, or would that be just during certain periods of time at certain areas?
We have allocated, we have now put about close to 100 water tanks. These are 5,000 and 10,000 liters depending on the capacity for that area in Nandi Lotoka areas. So these are now for the domestic customers. So if they run out of water of what they are keeping at home, they could go to these strategic locations, which has already been publicized in the papers, and also it's available on the Water Authority website and also in the Facebook page of the Water Authority. So if you want to know where these water tanks are located, you can go to these places and see. So if you run out of water, you could go down to these strategic locations to fill in your gallons with water. During this period will be also on the 3rd day. If water run out of these water tanks, that 5,000 and 10,000, the cutting trucks will be going around to also fill those up. Those that have higher population density. Like for example, some of the Lotoka areas are very highly, like Phil 40 and few other areas in Natambua.
That is definitely something we can touch on again, Mr. Gaunda. But we'll just go to a quick break and we'll be back. You're watching For the Record. Welcome back. You're watching For the Record. Tonight we are discussing the major upgrades and projects that the Water Authority of Fiji is planning for 2018. I have Mr. Gaunda, WAF Board of Director, and Saman Ikanayake, WAF's Chief Operating Officer. So, like you were saying, the different allocations that you have for people so they can go and get water if they need it. So, in terms of cutting water with the trucks, I've experienced water cuts in my area for a long time. And you will be outsourcing these water trucks, am I right?
Yes.
One thing we've noticed, and this is, I don't know whether this happens throughout the country, but whenever there's a water cut, it is very difficult to get a water truck in our area. Usually they'll drive right past our homes, not stopping. What are some of the things that the people can do in case this happens in this time?
Thank you. Very good question. I think we getting a lot of complaints in this area.
Yeah.
So in this area, what we have done, we were in Latoka and Nendi yesterday. The few board directors and including the management, where we also met with the hoteliers, and we can discuss about that in terms of what were some of the issues raised. But in terms of what Water Authority is doing in terms to avoid all these complaints coming in, we are setting up our control center in Namaka. The Water Authority based. So we'll be having a separate toll telephone line set up in Namaka for this shutdown papers. So if there are any direct...
This is apart from the 5777.
Yes, so we'll be advertising this number. We are at the moment working with the telecom in terms of setting up this line. So in the next few days, we'll be announcing the number that people, domestic customers or the commercial customers, including hoteliers, could call to if the water cutting trucks are not coming to them. But for our papers, what we have done, our general manager customer service will be based in Namaka during this closure shutdown. So there will be a separate operations team based in Namaka who will be daily monitoring where the water cutting trucks are going and trying to resolve any complaints that are coming to them. And what we have also done, these water cutting trucks, now most of them have GPS system. So this is one of the things that we have done because the technology is available. So in terms we can monitor where these trucks are going to. So if, for example, if there is a complaint that they are missing few hotels or businesses or customers, we can find out through this GPS monitoring system. But the operations team, we have talked to them, who will be based in Namaka during these 4 days, and we have told them that we want to avoid we want to have zero complaints from customers during this shutdown period.
And I'm sure the residents of Nandi and Lotoka will be very appreciative of that. You spoke about issues being raised. Apart from that being one of them, what are some other issues?
During our meeting, we had a meeting with the hotel's president, Mr. Dixon Sito, 2 weeks ago, and we explained him, and then he agreed to work with us. So he arranged for a meeting for us yesterday in Namaka with all the hoteliers. We had a good turnout from the hotel industry. Most of the hotel in Denarau, including Momi, in Nendi area and Latoka, came down to the meeting. Two major issues that were raised one was regarding in terms of the limited capacity of tanks that hotels have. They were referring that for example, whatever their daily consumption is, the storage tanks that they have will not able to meet the demand. So that was one of the issues, but we have told them that there will be water cutting to fill in those tanks that will be emptying on a regular basis. We won't be able to meet the 100% demand that is there.
But in that particular case where they're saying they don't have enough water tanks, that is not the job of Water Authority of Fiji, right? That's their responsibility to cater for their hotel.
Yes, so what we have asked to additionally, if they want to get in additional storage tanks, larger storage tanks, so that they still have now 2 to 3 weeks to fill on those tanks. And the other major issue was in terms of the delivery, and that's what you raised earlier in terms of water cutting trucks not going on time to filling in. So that's the area that we have already addressed. But in terms of what we requesting from them as assistance from them, I think they need to work with us in terms of conserving water. What we have seen, most of these hotels, a large portion of water goes through their laundry. Also in terms of landscaping, watering the gardens. So we have talked to them for this closure period, try to avoid as much as they could, and water to be only used for major purpose, for drinking, cooking, and tourists like 2 times, 3 times they would like to shower. So they have agreed to work with us and try to put up awareness within their hotel premises. So that's a good thing that we met with them and tried to work out on the issues that they raised. And when they walked out of the door, I think all of them were very happy that we did and consult with them regarding this shutdown.
You spoke about the development of support line. When will you give out the number?
We should be able to give that number within next 2 to 3 days. we'll be also holding a meeting with the businesses, with the advisory councillors, and also with the government departments this Friday from 12 to
Yes, 1:30 to 3.
1:30 to 3 p.m. in Nendi Civic Center. So whereby we'll be talking with them in terms of what their responsibility is, because we need to advisory councillors needs to go around and tell the people if they haven't heard on the news or even on the notices being put out that they need to start storing water. So that's a consultation that we'll be having on Friday, this Friday.
Okay.
Plus that number will be out in the next 2 to 3 days.
Would that be a toll-free number?
Yes, it will be a toll-free number. That will also go in the flyers that Water Authority is now preparing to be handed out to general public in Nendi Latoka. So during that meeting, we will be handing it to the advisory councillors to take it back to distribute it among their communities.
So this toll-free number can be used on any network?
Yes, it will be both Boda and Digicel.
Yeah.
So they could call on this toll-free. So, but this number will be only for the shutdown complaints and not for other purposes. Yes. Yeah, and it will be manned on a 24/7 basis. So there will be somebody sitting and operating that number on a 24/7 basis.
When you say that it's only for this particular shutdown, it will only be operational for those particular days. Once it's over, that will be shut down.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we have other number 5777 based at our headquarters that deals with customer complaints.
So what are you looking at with your support team? How many people will be working on those 3 days?
Yeah, actually in Nandi and Latoka, there are 2 teams for the water cart operations, and also we are going to install 2 package plants in Nandi area, so that we can feed the buses from there. So that will reduce the traveling time. That is the purpose. So there are 2 teams, but finally they will be controlled from Namaka Control Center. So that's how we are going to operate. So that will minimize traveling time, and so that it will be efficient to deliver water to the hotels and other people.
Thank you for that, Saman.
Yes.
We'll just go to a quick break now and then we'll be back. You're watching For the Record. Welcome back. As we were discussing the Water Authority of Fiji's upgrades, what's happening in Nandi and Latoka, and of course Mr. Gaunda, WAF's Board of Director, and Saman Ikanayake, WAF's Chief Operating Officer.
So earlier on you had mentioned the main issue that's a problem with the Nangando station in Nandi, and it has a problem with the Vanessa valve, like you identified. Could you elaborate a little bit more exactly what the problem is and what needs to be done, especially when the pipes are being changed out?
Okay. In Nagando water treatment plant, we have 2 inlets. So there we have 2 control valves. Those are the Vanessa valves. So one of the Vanessa valve, there is a leakage in one of the Vanessa valve. That is the one we are going to replace. So during that, on Saturday, we will be cutting the pipe and replacing it. At the same time, there is another leakage. It's not that big in the same inlet pipe. So we will be doing the repair during the same shutdown, because to avoid any further shutdown. So we'll be doing both repairs in the same day. So it's a minor repair anyway. It's not a big one.
And I believe the contractors that are doing this is a local company.
Yes, it is Elisha Engineering from Ba. They are the company. I remember they did the installation in Nagando. They did the commission in Nagando treatment plant. So they have the experience. So they are very good welding. They have very good welders, so that they can handle the repair. We are sure about it.
Okay.
Yes.
So once these repair works are carried out, how often or how long would it take for you to go back and do maintenance check and to see that the leak does not happen, or maybe that there are no other faults in any of the areas of the that particular station?
Yeah. Immediately after the repair, we are going to test the valve, so that we are sure that there is no leakage. But only thing is, after the repair, it will take some time to restore water, because all the pipelines and the reservoirs are empty, so that it will take to pressurize the system. So that's why it is 2.5 to 3 days So finally we estimate that everybody will receive water on Tuesday by say 5 ppm.
Could you probably give us an idea of how and why this leak must have come about?
It's actually, as I know, this is installed in 2003, so it's fairly old well. So that's why there's a leakage anyway.
Could it also have something to do with the fact that the population growth has, has boomed, and of course the demand has grown, and maybe the supply had to increase as well. Maybe the pipes were not able to cater for that particular demand.
Yes, we have a plan, master plan for that. Even in Nagando, we are going to increase the capacity by another 20 megaliters per day. So it's the tender is already on. So it will be done in 2017-18 PSIP, and also to duplicate another pipeline, and also to raise the Waturun dam by another 3 meters, so that it can store more water and supply additional 20 megaliters to the system.
So once the repairs are done, what is the life expectancy for?
So it should be more than 20 years.
20 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's lovely.
Just to add on what our Chief Operating Officer has mentioned, we were on the site, and Elisha Engineering was also on the site yesterday, and they have promised that there will be no delay. It will definitely take 24 hours for the repair, and I think they have committed a 24 full team that will be on the ground during this repair. So the contractor will be on the ground full time. So we are expecting that there will be no delay in these repairs.
So how would you factor in with, this is to go back to a question concerning the cutting of water. So how will you cater for, if you factor in traffic, and I believe you said something about
filling points?
Filling points?
Yes.
What will happen, because the traveling distance from Nendi and Latoka, and because of the issues raised by the hoteliers in terms of the delivery of water on a timely basis to these hotel premises, will be having 15 filling points. Filling points is where the carting trucks would go to fill in their trucks to go and fill it to the tanks within hotels, hospitals in Nendi, Namaka, and also to the airport. So there will be around close to 15 filling points. And these filling points, I think 2 of those are in Nendi, Vatutu and Mulo, and the rest of the filling points are in Latoka.
Okay.
So yes, so these are the filling points for only the water carting trucks to go to. These are different from the water community tanks that are put in at strategic locations. These community tanks that
only
are
for
put
trucks.
there
Are
for
for
the
So once again, just to go over it, this is not for public consumption. These filling tanks are just primarily there for the trucks to come and fill up to go out to the other places.
And for public, for communities, they could go to those community water tanks that will be put that are put in at 100 strategic locations. There are some requests coming in from public in terms of those areas that they see that they don't have any tank placed in. So those that requests are already coming in, and in the next few days we'll be putting in additional tanks to those locations if Water Authority has missed out some of these places, and if people are seeing that there is no water tank at their community.
What is the biggest, apart from, obviously from the repairs, what's another, what would you say is the biggest obstacle for Water Authority of Fiji?
You mean during the shutdown period?
During the shutdown period.
I think it will be basically in terms of we need proper coordination and proper close working relationship with our commercial customers. So that's the only challenge that we could see in terms of if they could work together with us, and the issue that we raised in terms of if they fully conserve water during this period, then this challenge will be met. But only if they are not willing to work with us, then. But from the meeting we had, they are ready to work with us, and that's a good news for Water Authority of Fiji.
Thank you for that. We'll just go to a quick break now, and then we'll be back. You're watching For the Record. Welcome back. With me in studio tonight, Mr. Gaunda Water Authority of Fiji's Board of Director, and Mr. Saman Ikaneake, Water Authority of Fiji's Chief Operating Officer. So, given that school starts tomorrow, one of the issues obviously would be the students. How will you cater for this?
Thank you, Matthew. One of the good thing is that the closure is going to happen on Saturday morning 1 a.m., 3rd February, and the schools will be only affected on Monday. We have already done a consultation, and also in terms of the daily consumption for all the schools that will be affected in the Nandi Latoka corridor. Good thing is that all the schools, including only 2 schools, do not have water tanks at their premises. The schools that have water tanks will be filling it 1 week prior to closure, so that water could, during that closure, during that Monday and Tuesday, students will be able to get water. For those schools that do not have water, will be putting in water tanks this week at their school premises, whereby in terms of some schools whereby the student roll is higher, they have requested for additional water tanks, and Water Authority has some spare water tanks that they will be placing in those schools, including the schools that have boarding facilities, because those schools need water also in the weekend, because students will be leaving boarding facilities. So we have already met with the Ministry of Education, and there is meetings going on with the management and school head teachers and principals, and I think there shouldn't be any major problem faced with the schools. So that's the plan that we have for all the schools in Nandi Latoka.
And also, apart from that, by Monday, water will be in the system, so it's not the entire area. It's only the part of area, so it is not that serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Just to add on, maybe we will be requesting if like some of the students just to carry water to school during that Monday, in case something happens. So if they have some bottled water from home, they could take it. That could also assist. But we are sure that the water that will be stored in the water tanks will be able to supply for that for the school. But just in case worst to worst scenario, students should take at least 1 bottle of water to school.
So, given that you have 2 locations for filling the sites in Nandi, but the majority of it is Latoka, how will you cater for Nandi if there's only 2 sites? Do you have like a reserve?
Yeah, we are going to fill 1 reservoir, that is Nabila reservoir. We are going to store water and supply to the water cart trucks from that particular reservoir, so that we can minimize the traveling time.
How much water can that reservoir
that can store about 5 mld.
Okay.
Yeah, so that will be used only for the water carts, so that we can minimize the traffic time between Nandi and Latoka. So that is one of the plans.
Okay.
Just to add on, what we will be also doing, the operations team in Namaka, most of this water carting we will try to do in the night. So off-peak hours, so it doesn't cause major minimize traffic.
24-hour operation.
24-hour operation, and it will be done during night when there is less traffic and during off-peak period. So to minimize traffic congestion on the Nandi Latoka corridor. We are also working with Fiji Roads Authority in terms of the contractors that will be working on the roads to ensure that there is minimal traffic, so that because of these 100 water carts that will be going on a daily on the road, we don't want also major roads projects going on, but there will be some which are urgent, but other than that I think they are willing to work with us. We also thank Fiji Roads Authority because they have now availed us about 20 carting trucks from their contractors. So this has also assisted Water Authority in terms of getting the numbers for the carting trucks.
Even from Army we are getting 2 trucks, we should thank Army also. Yes.
So resources are better now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, is there one particular company that you've outsourced to help with the cutting of water, or are there like a number of companies that are helping you with this?
Water Authority of Fiji has several water carting contractors.
Contractors.
So what we have done, because of we have not lot of water carting trucks in West, so we'll be taking around 20 to 25 trucking companies from Suva to West during this shutdown period.
Wow.
So to make up the numbers close
Yeah.
to 100 that we are looking at to meet the demand. We would like to say that we won't be able to meet the 100% demand, but definitely we will try to do our best.
Yeah.
We have assured all our stakeholders that there will be minimal disruption to their businesses, hospitals, because most of our carting will be going to major services like hospitals, airports, hotels, and also a few other commercial customers. The domestic, that's why we are requesting for them to store sufficient water. During the meeting that we'll be having with the advisory councillors on Friday, we'll be also emphasizing for our non-metered customers. The non-metered customers are the ones that are off our meter, like those living in rural areas. We can say there is a drought going on in those areas like Malamala, Nandrala, all these inside areas in Western Division, where their wells or rivers have dried up, and our water carting trucks are supplying them water on a weekly basis, daily basis. So what will be telling our advisory councillors that during that 1 week before the shutdown, we'll try to fill in and give them additional water so that these trucking companies not get backlogged with going to these non-metered customers. And also we'll be advising those non-metered customers to use water wisely during that 4-hour shutdown, because there will be lesser trucking companies supplying water to them. So for example, if like a trucking company goes to an area in Malamala and they give water for 1 week, we'll ask them to give water for that 1 week plus additional 4 days that the shutdown will happen, so that they could use water once that shutdown happens also, so that it also not puts pressure on our trucking companies. Yeah.
Wow.
So obviously, asking the public to be mindful and conserve
little bit
water.
more, yes.
Things like drinking kava, and, we just have to take a hold for the time being.
Of course, this being the hot season, I can imagine just how uncomfortable it would be for the public to deal with these things. And of course, you've asked them to store. When you mentioned earlier on about residential households to store at least 200 liters of water per household. That would be a minimum of how many people per household?
Five.
Assuming 5.
So if you happen to have more, you'd advise them to store a little bit more.
This is the average that we have worked out. But the 200 liters that we are talking about is only for drinking and cooking purposes.
Cooking only.
For additional purposes like
minimum requirement.
for additional purposes like bathing and washing and things, they need to store additional water. Also, good thing is that most of these domestic customers now have water tanks at their premises, and I think they have collected water during this rainy season that we had. And we are requesting if that water could be used for shower and washing purposes. And for drinking purposes, they could use the treated water that they could now store 1 week before.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gaunda. We'll just go to a quick break right now, and we'll be back. You're watching For the Record. Good evening and welcome back. With me in studio tonight, Water Authority of Fiji's Board of Director, Mr. Gaunda, and Water Authority of Fiji's Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Saman Ekenayake. So, as we had spoken about, which is what I'm so glad to hear, and I'm pretty sure the residents of Nadi and Lautoka are too, is you pretty much got your bases covered for what's going to happen. Now, how about other projects? I believe you spoke about your rainwater...
Yes,
rainwater scheme?
Rainwater harvesting scheme. I know that the Water Authority of Fiji has delivered 4,029 water tanks under the rainwater harvesting system, and 654 under the free water tank scheme. And just yesterday, was it 2 days ago actually, you went all the way to Vatulele, such far away, and yet you were able to reach out to your customers there and deliver 77 water tanks.
Yeah.
Would you like to elaborate a little bit more on that, and how it's been going so far, and your responses from your customers so far? What's in plan later on for other places, other rural areas that haven't received them yet?
Thank you, Geraldine, Matthew. Before that, I'd just like to thank the Fijian government. In the 2017-2018 budget, Water Authority has been allocated around more than 300 million budget for both OPEX and CAPEX. For capital, there is allocation of around 217 million. So this is a good news for Water Authority to do most of their projects, outstanding projects that has been there. Most of the projects are more towards upgrading. As we mentioned earlier, that the Water Authorities of Fiji's asset is getting old, the infrastructure, and we need to do urgent repair to all these, to replace all the best infrastructure that we have. And that is the reason that if you travel on like in the greater Suva area, you see a lot of leakage going on. And this is mainly because of the old infrastructure. It was not upgraded or repaired on a timely basis, and now we're trying to repair all this backlog of infrastructure that is there, which is more than 30 to 40 years old. And what we are also doing is we are working with the Fiji Roads Authority. For example, when Fiji Roads Authority does the resealing or rehab of the roads, new roads, which is going on under the IDB funded SRAP 1 and SRAP 2 projects, including the one if you have seen along in front of the President's house that we have done. What we are doing when we're doing the resealing or rehab of these roads, we are doing we are also replacing our entire pipes, both water and sewer pipes.
Similar to what you did in Nandi.
Similar to what we have did in Nandi. So what we are doing, rather than coming in back later to dig up all these good roads and then do the repair, we are working with together. Fiji Roads Authority to do the repair together. And that's the reason that some of these works are a little bit delayed, because of the design that needs to happen. And one of the major, also the major project that will be coming up, if you travel along the Nokonoko Road in Lodala Beach, that is also, there is a lot of leakage going on. What happened, because we have the major sewer pipe running on the under the road on that section, so the design is taking a bit longer, but we are hoping that in the next few months, coming months, we will be start repairing the rehab of the entire, also the Nokonoko Road. I think the Nokonoko roundabout has already started to be done concrete, but the water, the sewer and the roading will be coming up in the next few months. But getting back to what Geraldine was talking about in terms of the water tanks, in the 2017-2018 budget, we have allocated close to about $4.5 million for households that apply water tanks under the rainwater harvesting, and we have delivered more than 4,000 water tanks already. These are to the households that live more in the rural areas. So what the families just need to do, households, they just need to prepare the base and the gutter system. Once that is done and inspected by the Water Authority of Fiji staff, then the water tanks are get delivered. I think we are getting a lot of requests from people in terms of for this, together with the free water tanks that we are distributing in the drought prone and maritime and drought stricken areas. These are to all our maritime, because at the moment what we have seen in our investigation is shown, like for example Vatulele, there is mainly no water source available on these outer islands. So what we are doing is we trying to place 5,000 and 10,000 liter water tanks on these maritime outer islands. So during that drought period, they can have enough water to take them through that period. So these are some of the things that we're doing in terms of, and in terms of the villages and communities that are under the free water scheme, free water tank scheme. These are already available on our websites, and the Water Authority staff is trying to ensure that all these timelines in terms of people being delivered the water tanks are met on a timely basis. Apart from that, we have about close to $27 million. This is the first time that we have allocated in history of the Water Authority for the rural water projects. These are, sorry.
No, I'm really impressed with not just with how you're handling things, but the amount of projects and upgrading that Water Authority of Fiji is doing. Now, is there a a final message you want to give the citizens or people living in Nandi Notoka before we wrap things up?
Thank you, Matthew. I think the only message that we want to do, and it is already going out through public advisory notice and also on the radios and TV, is for them to please start storing water. We are giving them ample time so that we try to get lesser complaints during the shutdown period. So I know there is a rush for them to go and get in terms of storage tanks like gallons, with larger gallons, and now we are also working with the hardware companies to supply sufficient 20 liter or 10 liter gallons to these domestic customers that are, I think, in a rush to buy to store enough water. So that's the only message that we are trying to ask from our domestic customers, is for them to store sufficient drinking and cooking for purpose for water, and also for other purpose, and conserve water. So during this period, please stop, don't use water unwisely. For example, washing of cars. You know, a lot of people like used to want to wash cars every day after they go back home. So we are trying to ask them, please conserve water. Do not waste water. For example, gardening, washing of cars and vehicles. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank both of you for coming on the show tonight. If you have any complaints or issues that the Water Authority of Fiji can assist with, you can contact the helpline on 3346 or 5777 for Vodafone or Inc users. That's it from us tonight. Thank you. You can join us again next week. From Geraldine and I and the rest of the team, good night.